How's it going, everybody? Corey Anderson here, and we are making this video. It's gonna be our first video for creating New Thought Millennia, and the point of these videos is to document our progress in our mission and what we as a person, as a people, because a lot of people believe in this stuff and they know this information, and we have a mission. We have a mission, a life purpose. And what inspired me to really get in front of this camera tonight, it is February 20th, Sunday, and it is 9:28 p.m. Something happened today, and I was delivering orders and fulfilling an order for a client, and I ended up coming across somebody that I met several months ago, and he was with somebody else, and he said that I needed to talk to the other person, and it was a younger cat. He was 26 years old. I'm not going to give his name, and he wasn't in a very good spot. And I remember at 26, I wasn't in a very good spot in my life either. I was just going through the struggles of life and experiences that we have, and setbacks that we have, and mistakes that we make, and involvements that we have with other people. All that has an effect on us too, and recovering from that takes time, and learning from that takes time. And ultimately it came down to me figuring out what it is that, me helping him figure out what it is that he wants, and to really define his purpose and who he wants to be as an individual, and how to get to that point. How to get from where he is now to where it is that he wants to go. And I told him it's until you get sick and tired of being sick and tired that you reach the brink of not being able to take your situation or circumstance anymore, that it creates it forces the desire upon you to get up and do something about it. And I get it. I seen where he was, and I was telling him, he knows what he needs to do. He just hasn't reached that point yet of really, not doing drugs anymore, not drinking anymore, stop putting the Band-Aid on the wound, and to pull off that Band-Aid and let the bleed happen. Feel the bleeding of the mistakes you made in the past, the situation and circumstance that you're in, and that pain, that hurt will make you stronger. It'll make you become the person you need to be to get up and do something about it, because we have to get up and do something about it. And he hasn't reached that point yet. And I reflected on where he was, or where he is, and where I was, and I've reached that point where I got up and did something about it to fix my life. And I'm over 9 months sober, actually going on 10 months sobriety from alcohol, and almost 10 months sober from drugs too. And because I'm a recovered addict and I'm a recovered alcoholic, when we look at the wiring of my brain and how I wired it growing up, and a lot of people have this issue, my reward circuitry is wired a little bit different than what they would call the normal person, because I have a tendency to repeat a habit over and over again. It could be a very bad habit, specifically doing a drug to create this and induce a chemical state, introducing a chemical in my body which creates a mental and emotional state, and I enter a certain state in consciousness, and I get addicted to that place. I get addicted to that feeling because of my reward circuitry. Now, growing up and learning that that's how it worked, it was my responsibility to change that. It was my responsibility to say, no, I'm not going to do this anymore, and to learn how to switch my reward circuitry, to learn how to give myself rewards for reaching certain objectives, because we are goal-oriented creatures. We have to have a goal. We have to have a purpose. We have to have something to live for and to strive for. Now, I've learned that throughout the years, and I've diligently been applying it. Now, a part of my application of this, just these things that I've learned is getting in front of a camera, because I've, like Dr. Martin Luther King, we have a dream. We have a dream. I have a dream. Viewer, you have a dream. People out there have dreams. We as human beings, we're dreamers. We visualize, we imagine things, and we can create things. And we could vibrate a specific vibration within the universe, the universal mind, and that by the law of attraction, the law of electromagnetic energy, our mind, our emotional body, our mental body, our vibrations will reach out and match with other vibrations in the universe. And God, the infinite mind, will create situations, circumstances, and events to help you achieve whatever it is that you're vibrating, whatever it is that you're thinking, whatever goal, whatever vision that you have. The universe will bring you the things necessary to achieve that vision. And lately I've been working on my program, because me as an individual, I need to program. I firmly believe everybody needs to program. Everybody needs a disciplined schedule to live by. I don't remember who says it, but he says a disciplined life is a life that is a life. Something, don't quote me on those exact words, but the concept behind it is living a disciplined life is living the highest quality of life and what life has to offer. Because not every day we feel like doing something, but if we do it anyway, regardless, we create that, continuing that action, we continue to create those neural pathways. We continue to create that being, that person within our system, and we continue to grow into that individual, and eventually we will be that individual, and the places, the people we meet, the circumstances we have will be in accordance to who we are becoming as an individual. But you know what? After our conversation today, and he said Corey, and his name is Jake. He said Corey and Jake. So he was inspired by me, and there's so many people that we could help. There's so much that we can do for our people and for our society, and all the things that we've tried throughout the years that we just weren't ready for at the time. And I'm 28. I just turned 28 not that long ago. And I have a skill. I have a specific ability that I need to embody and bring to our society, to bring to my society. Because me, as Corey Anderson, there are people out there in the world doing it, but nobody can do it like I can. Just like I can't do it like they can, because they are them, and they could reach a certain amount of people, and I could reach a certain amount of people. And there are people that I can't reach, and there are people that I can, and the people that I can reach, they can't reach. That is why it's my responsibility to continue, to keep pressing forward, and to do what I have been called to do what I know that I can do, and to fulfill my dream and my purpose in this life. That's just a great life coach, an amazing life coach, somebody that has embodied something and who is able to instill this type of mindset and embodiment within those around him to help them. Because we have a message to bring to the world. The message of new thought, the message of higher consciousness, because everything is consciousness. Everything is made inside and out of consciousness. The substance of the universe itself is consciousness. The Spirit of God is a consciously living presence and essence which fills all space and permeates all things and animates all living things. You and I, as conscious beings, divine centers of I am consciousness, we're aware of being, we're aware of our surroundings and what's happening around us. It's our very awareness is what's created in the image and likeness of this infinite substance which permeates all things and is just everywhere. Oh my gosh. And so that brings me to making this video to get myself back out there and to do our vlogs and to document our progress, because people will look back and they'll watch this, and as I grow, they'll see the growth from where I am 6 months from now to where I was today, to where I am today and where I'll be 6 months from now, and the difference in our character and how much we've grown through the process. It'll be an inspiration for them to know that if I can do it, they can do it. If I can do this, they can do this too. Because there's no difference between me and the person on the other side of this camera. The only difference is the discipline, the drive, the desire to make that happen for themselves, and the willingness to learn new information, and the willingness to change their behavior around the new information that they're learning, proven information. And it starts with us. It starts with us. And I was looking at my New Thought channel, New Thought Millennia, and I have people on there that have thanked me for the work that I've done so far. And there's so much work to still do. And I was a kid at that time. When I started, I was a kid and I wasn't ready for something like this. And being 28 now, I'm closing in on my 30s, and you know what? I myself have been thinking a lot about my own family. My wife, when I have her one day, my kids, when I have them someday. Me as the man, it is my responsibility to take care of them. And you, viewer, as the man, it is your responsibility too. And as a man, I know you feel it. You feel the pressure of needing to find or create the thing that you could do to take care of yourself and your family, and to be able to be there for your family. And with the way things are going, especially here in California, with the rising prices from inflation, of course it's happening around the world, simply because the US dollar being the primary currency of the world. And with this dude Biden in office destroying the economy with their Robert Kiyosaki talks about the middle class needs a representative. And there are no real representatives for the middle class today. And I came from the middle class. And I understand the struggle. I've struggled with addiction. I've struggled with money. I've struggled with health. I've struggled with a lot of things. And, I grew up in the public schools. My parents lived pretty much 9 to 5, a 9 to 5 job. They weren't always home. They weren't always around. in just like 95% of the people out there that also had lived that lifestyle, they understand, they know what it's like to feel like there's no real relationship. They know what it's like to feel that there's a huge gap. And I can say as I've gotten older and understanding how the life my parents lived, that's definitely changed some things. But I've met families that were wealthy, are wealthy, and their kids are homeschooled, and they have an amazing relationship with their kids. And that is something that I want for me and my family. I want to be the person to raise my kid. I want to be the person to be there for my kids, not somebody else, not something else. It's my responsibility to be there, which is why it's my responsibility to create something. And I even have as my background, my dream, my business, my future, my real future, my calling, and it's possible. Anything that you can imagine and think about is possible, because consciousness and imagination and our thoughts open up the way. They open the way for that reality to become a material fact for you in your life. Like the Bible talks about it, the man without vision will perish. Having the vision of what it is that you want and knowing exactly what it is that you want, the universe, God, will move things around in accordance to help you achieve the very thing of which you are thinking about and imagining. But you yourself have to become the person capable and necessary to really manifest it, hold on to it, and do something with it. That is why the process of growth is so important, and the discipline of having the right mindset, especially the mindset of growth, is so important, because the higher you go in the levels of life, the better you have to be as a human being. In the better your discipline, the better your thoughts, the better your character. Character equals destiny. And right now it's about becoming the right character and becoming the right person to make these things happen. And as we've been moving along, those things are happening, because this happened today, that I was the individual put in the seat of coaching somebody. In the end of that conversation, he was inspired by who I was as a person. And to me, that means a lot to me. And if it could happen for me, it could happen for you. It will happen for you if you put in the work and you keep disciplined in taking the action steps necessary. Where we are right now, I mentioned we are working on our program. Our program is about having a higher mindset, from looking at life from a higher viewpoint, because it's about viewpoint, it's about perspective, the perspective that we have of things and on things. A lot of this has to do with quantum physics, the wave-particle duality, as well as the double slit experiment, which we will be talking about throughout the process, because it is something that I'm going to have involved in the program that I'm creating for myself and for you and for anybody else who watches this. Because through our observations, like I said, imagination and thoughts, what we are observing opens the way for what it is that we want to manifest in our life. Now, the double slit experiment shows that subatomic particles such as electrons and gauge bosons like the photon, particles of light, both exhibit a wave-particle duality, meaning that they exist as a wave, as a vibration, as a frequency, and as a particle. ultimately saying that everything material that you see is both in vibration and taking on material form. You and I are vibrating. In this material form that we see is simply electrical signals that the brain is creating in this solidified, just this solid state that we see. Because everything really is energy. It's made out of spiritual energy. It's made out of consciousness. And the brain is what takes that energy and creates it into something as a physical form. We'll go through the science, and what the double slit experiment shows is that, let's say for example, the electron, being a subatomic particle, exists outside the nucleus of an atom. Everything material is made out of atoms. You and I are made out of atoms. This computer I'm recording this on is made out of atoms. Everything is made out of atoms, and those atoms in turn are made out of protons, neutrons, and electrons. The protons and neutrons are made of smaller particles, subatomic particles, known as quarks. There are the up quarks and the down quarks. We won't get too deep into that right now. We just need to know that protons, neutrons, and electrons are what create an atom. But the electron is smaller than the proton and the neutron and exists outside of the nucleus of the atom. So what the science shows is the electron also permeates all of space and fills all of space. And the double slit experiment shows that whatever the mind, whatever an individual, whatever I, whatever you observe something to be, the free electrons which fill and permeate the space is taking on the form and shape of the picture, of the thought, of the imagination, the image of what you have in mind. And this is higher consciousness, knowing and understanding this information, seeing life from this viewpoint, in applying it, living from it. It'll make you just something totally different. And it'll make you something more. And that's what we're to bring to light. Because our mission here at New Thought is education reformation. Excuse me. I got the hiccups. We're on a mission for education reformation to teach you the things about yourself and the world and the universe in which you live that wasn't taught to us in the public schools, which should have been taught. Now, a lot of it goes into Federal Reserve, government, people in power, politics. All that's going to be saved for another time. Right now, we have our booklet that we're taking notes because we're going over a program by Kevin Trudeau. And I have Kevin Trudeau to go over, Orrin Woodward, Chris Brady, from the Financial Fitness. They have a concept called You Inc. You Incorporation, and it's about you and the viewpoint you have of yourself, how you see yourself as a business, as the center of causation. Now, they don't go into deep as we're going to go into with it, because we're going to involve universal laws. We're not going to leave it strictly to the financial side of always seeing ourselves as a business. That'll be a part of it, but we need to go more. We need to go bigger than that. The world needs more. Society needs more. Now, like I said, we'll go ahead and end this right here. We're documenting our progress. We're creating New Thought Millennia. We're redoing our website, renewing our domain, Um, and now's the time. Now's the time to become the person we've always wanted to be.